Committee meeting. Today is July 17th, 2024. Meeting starts at 5 o'clock. It is located at the District Educational Services Center, Conference Room E, and remote hybrid conference meeting. This meeting will be live streamed on the school board's YouTube channel. Request for the public comments participation will be accepted between 4 and 4:30 by sending an email with your name, phone number, and topic to robin.Beaufort.k12.sc.us. That's Robin with a Y. You will receive a phone call during public comments where you will be able to speak and address the committee for a maximum of 3 minutes on issues within the committee's domain. The forum will be limited to 15 minutes. Committee members are Chloe Gordon, Chair, Angela Middleton, and William Smith. It is now 5:04. Meeting will now be called to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America, the
Republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Any motions to approve the approval of the agenda, please?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Middleton. Your agenda has been.
You have to second. You have to second.
I second. The agenda has been approved.
You and Angela have to vote.
Oh, okay. Angela?
Aye.
Aye. Chloe? Aye. The agenda has been approved. Any public comments, ma'am?
No, ma'am.
There are no public comments at the time. We also need approval of the April 25th, 2024 committee meeting minutes.
So moved, Madam Chair.
A second. Well, question?
Not at this time.
Vote. Ms. Middleton?
Aye.
I Good, Mrs. Smith.
And Ron, the administrative regulations.
I will now turn this over to Dr. Stratis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, board meeting members and Madam Chair. This afternoon, we have a list of administrative motions to bring forward to inform our academic committee. We have from instructional services, IS 11, IS 35, IS 41. From student services, we have 3 as well, student services 31, 36, and 39 respectively. At this point, I'd like to take a moment to introduce those who are in the room with us. We have our Director of Literacy, Melissa Murray, our Director for Teaching and Learning Secondary, Karen McKinsey, our Officer for Student Services in charge as well with special education, Dr. Juliet White. We also have legal counsel, Wendy Cartage, joining us today. With that, I'd like to turn the floor over to our team who have been working diligently with these administrative regulations. We'll start with instructional services, administrative regulation, 11, physical education.
Thank you, Dr. Stratus, Madam Chair, and board members. So, instructional services administrative regulation 11. We're just going to go through each section by section to go through changes that have been made to this administrative regulation. In section 2, the addition of the non-discrimination clause has been added. We are adding that to all of our administrative regulations to ensure that we're providing equal opportunities to all the students at Beaufort County School District.
And Ms., I apologize for what I failed to share that our executive summary for the administrative regs of IS 11, 35, and 41, and I believe also one for student services will give you a quick scenario right in the executive summary as well. That'll be easier for you to follow. I do apologize.
No, thank you, Dr. Stratus. I should have said that, so I apologize. So again, in section 2, the only thing that was added there was that non-discrimination clause, and that is truly Beaufort County School District's way of ensuring that equal opportunities are provided to every student. In section 4, subsection A of IS 11, we had an addition of the 90-minute requirement from the state and the 500-to-1 teacher to student ratio that is also required by the state. We just wanted to make sure that information is in.
500 students to one teacher?
Throughout the academic school year. Throughout the year, so you may rotate either 250 per semester, but not to exceed 500 total for the academic school year. Yes, sir. No, not at any time. Crazy with that.
Our teachers are really good, but that's.
Yes.
Subsection B, we have the addition of a physical education activity director for each elementary school. That is also a requirement by the state. And just so you know, those are already currently in place here in Beaufort County. Subsection C, we added the addition of a background check to ensure that all of any non-certified staff or volunteers working with our students within that physical education arena also are doing background checks. Now, subsection D through G, I'm just going to kind of capsulize because there were very minor changes there, and they were pretty much semantic or word changes. So, those were very limited, and what they did was they allowed us to really follow the language of the state. So we changed special to specific, words like that. So it was nothing big there, just aligning ourselves more with the state's language. In subsection 4, we had the addition of the option that Beaufort County can take advantage of having marching band count as a physical education course. But we wanted to ensure that it was known that the state does still require a separate health course be put into place, and that's under that comprehensive health education requirement. So we wanted to make sure that was spelled out for our schools as well. In section 7, we added the addition of grade 2 for the annual fitness report. We're already doing those for our older grades. The state has now said grade 2 should be, so we added that in.
Sure.
Huh?
I have a question. Can you give me some you said y'all did it at the high school, at the earlier level, that y'all moving in grade 2. What does that mean? What is that in terms of?
So there is a fitness, yes, right now there is a fitness report that's done with our students at grade levels, and we have grade 5 and grade 8 already in place. And the state is now requiring that grade 2 be added to that as well. So it'll be second grade, 5 and 8.
Okay, I don't know where that's.
High school.
Right, yeah. So they actually every school tests students to make sure that they're physical fit or Besides Jim?
And yes, sir, and to be honest, most of our physical education teachers are already, how many jumping jacks can you do, how many sit-ups, they're already doing it.
Right.
But now they're doing report that they would be doing and saying, hey, 80% of our kids are able to do this, so it just ensures that we're following that state regulation.
Okay, I think y'all learned something with that.
Yeah.
My other question was, marching band is an additional, in alternate, like as in, I know ROTC this is for high school, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so I know in high school, you can do, ROTC or you could do, physical ed. So this is the same thing. You can do
Yes, sir,
marching
and the
band?
state is now saying you can do ROTC, you can do marching band. So they've added that piece to it, so we now have that option to develop a course code.
And what we've been able to do also, Mr. Smith, is for the public education requirements, some of our ROTC instructors have picked up a virtual course that we have from Low Country Virtual, and they're incorporating that with the certified teacher. So our students are just, we're meeting the standard after we went aggressively to maybe some of the places. But our junior ROTC, I did a 4 month meeting to help inform everybody.
We are ahead of the game on that, yes.
And these extras come from an OE or something, I know the child mentioned that they put them on here, but when I wanted to find them in their regular form, where was that packet, where would that be at?
So when we say excerpts, the executive summary development
Uh-huh.
here correlates, if you look at the first column, on that section 2 is actually related to the AR, if you look at it, and then it's gonna tell you what the update was.
You're looking for this.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Folder, so you go to the next
Yeah.
page.
Yeah. And you have both.
And all of these things fall
Yes.
under that section 51 codes and state, which there are updates are probably from, I keep saying, I'm on the state.
Right.
reference.
Okay. Okay. Thank y'all for, yeah, I appreciate that. That's all.
You know, so you said, oh,
I mean, I said.
That's a comment. Thank you, though. And that is it for the physical education, and if there's any further questions, if not, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Ms. Martin.
So the next administrative regulation we bring before you is IS 35. This has been updated to make sure our regulation for Beaufort County School District matches the regulation passed 43-170. So you will see in Roman numeral section 1, the language that was added there just tells us that we are making sure we're in compliance with provisos, statutes, and the regulations of the state. And then the language within this admin rule that changed was to ensure that we were following regulation 43-170. Roman numeral 2, we added the non-discrimination clause. As Ms. McKenzie said, we are adding these to all of our admin regulations, so you are used to seeing that added. When you get to Roman numeral 3, this is now going to be the definition section of this admin rule, because we wanted to be sure that we were following the definitions and guidance that came with the regulation 43-170 with the state. So when you look at that definition of instructional materials, that is directly from the language of the newly passed legislation, as well as the definition of age and developmentally appropriate. So much of that regulation is around a 2-prong approach to selecting materials, and this will help guide that. So these definitions are important for this next sections. When you go into Roman numeral section 4, we made those changes to be sure to align with that new state guidance of the instructional materials definition. And in regulation 43-170, there is guidance around the adopted instructional materials and the requirements, including the involvement of parents and legal guardians. So we made those changes to match that legislation. In this section, under subsection B, the changes are there to ensure that we're in accordance with that state legislation. The materials have academic rigor, educational significance, validity, accuracy, objectivity, appropriateness. and we adhere to the finite availability of instructional time. So this is directly from Regulation 43-170. This is our guidance around that two-prong mentioned in the regulation. So the first prong being, are we ensuring that these materials match the academic rigor and expectations of our standards? And these are the guidance that the state provided us. And so we wanted to make sure it was in our admin regulation also. The additional change in this section is under subsection D. And what we did here was we ensured that we matched the guidance, which says that at the purchase of the materials would go to a school review committee first. We also removed that list of instructional materials because we have a very detailed definition of instructional materials now located in section 3 for numeral. So we wanted that to be really clear and didn't want to confuse. So this list will be removed because we will be following the definition from Regulation 43-170. Roman numeral section, Roman numeral 5 section. This is around the parental inspection of certain materials. So we made some changes here to ensure that we are reflecting the language of the regulation, inclusive of, again, we have that definition of instructional materials, which encompasses everything. So we did not need this list here. And so we can be very clear of what instructional materials is. The language within the regulation from the state also says review upon reasonable request. We added that. Subsection B, you see stroke through, but that is because it was moved down to Roman numeral 6. So that's going to come back up. It's not gone. And then when you get to subsection 3, we made sure to add the protection of pupils' rights amendments. And then we did some minor changing to the structure of the sentence.
That was it. Which one was that?
Right here. So now we're in Roman numeral 6. You'll see where subsection B was moved here because that fits under this section around surveys. And that sentence reflected what was struck through, so it's cleaner now and it matches the state guidance. You will also see in subsection C here that the language changed at the beginning to match the regulations and state guidance to say parental notice and opportunity to opt out of students' participation. And then in subsection 3, language was added so that this AR also reflects other changes to ARs and regulation around our health standards and the Health Advisory Council. So that has now been added for that survey section. The next section that was added is now is Roman numeral 8. This is the reconsideration of instructional materials. This is following our process from another AR, so this will be very familiar to us. What this allows us to do is to ensure that we're following this process for not only library materials, but for all of those instructional materials as defined in the definitions section. So this follows directly what the regulation 43-170 asks of us at the school and district level. And so we are recognizing that parent and legal guardian have the right to request reconsideration of school materials. The regulation from the state asks the parents and guardians to go to the school first and try to come to a resolution together, which has been a practice for us. If they cannot come to a resolution, then the parent can fill out the request for reconsideration of instructional materials form. When that happens, then a committee is formed across the district. We are looking to have that committee be composed of an odd number of participants with at least one certified educator, one school administrator, 2 parents representing a school family other than the complainant, at least 1 community member, one district level director or coordinator, and one member of the school improvement council within the district or school. When that committee meets, they will read and examine the materials in question. They will complete a report and provide it to the complainant, the superintendent, the school, and the Board of Education within 30 business days. And then based on the decision from the committee, we will respond appropriately and timely to make any changes that might have happened as a result of that committee.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'm looking at the 30-day requirement to give feedback to you all. So if my child does not, or I disagree, September 1st, the committee has until October 1st.
According to the state regulation, that was the number put in place for them. But it is clear, and we try to put this in here, the first step is to go and work within the school to come to a resolution. And this is a longstanding practice. So most often we can come to a resolution as partners between the school and the parent. So this is kind of that extra circumstance where they wanted it to be more efficient. But our current regulation from the state says 30 to 60 days.
Yes, and we landed on at the 30, and I want to make note, if you could look at the last page of citation of when this originally was adopted by Beaufort County. We'll note that it was originally adopted this practice in 2001. And in a conversation at my office with both directors, how long has this option been practiced? That if I want to get an alternate assignment for my child, and the response was as long as we can remember. So BCSD has actually been very proactive at working with parents and community. And there's one other item, if you look at Roman numeral 8, Al plus C, the committee construct is actually designed, if we go to Roman numeral 8, Al plus C, where it talks about the committee construct, it is actually more developed with 4 members outside of the education realm as well. So it's a 4-3 construct. And although if you have a member of the school improvement council who is a educator, they can be selected. But I just wanted to make note that we are working to have more community voice and parent voice at our committee. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I was actually I was going to say what ask kind of the same question she was going to say, but the minute she's answered her question, I was going to say that it was good to know that, and very refreshing to know that the district has been actively engaged, and this has been our policy for some time now, that we've been actually been doing it as it should be within compliance of the state. So kudos to you and your staff. Definitely appreciate that.
I have to make kudos to our prior educators and administrators who had this practice with me. So thank you, Mr. Smith, really appreciate it, sir. With that, Ms. McKenzie, you're going to address IS 41, student travel.
Administrative regulation, and IS 41 student travel. And I will say before I start with this one that this one was one that we had a lot of eyes on. And I have to thank some of our principals, all of the departments here within the district who joined us in working on this one, because this does impact students in different ways as far as student travel. So thank you, especially to the principals that joined us on this. In section 1, we did add a statement to outline what our expectation as a district is, and that is students should benefit from relevant learning experiences. So we expect for student travel to be a relevant learning experience for our students. In section 2, Roman numeral 2, again, there's that non-discrimination clause that's being added to all, and that is to make sure that we are providing opportunities to all students. And We did, however, change the language there. You'll see it was saying special medical condition and special requirements, and we changed that to specific. It was just a language change for semantics there. You look down at section Roman numeral 4, subsection B, we moved items 1 through 9 to section 6, and we will get to those in just a moment. We had some things that were left off, so we just put it together as well. Subsection C, excuse me, we added out of county travel and any travel that involves water. So it used to say overnight, now it says overnight, out of county, and any student travel involving water. And that has to be approved by our superintendent or his designee, who's right there. We had changed the approval time frame there to 45 minutes for overnight travel. 45 days, excuse me, but I do want to say that there's a caveat there because we do have students who are going to competitions, they win different awards and then they move on to the next level, and we may not have that 45-day window.
As well as for athletics.
Yes, it's for athletics as well. So that goes back to Dr. Rodriguez or Stratus, as it may be, as his designee, she can make that exception and send those kids on that. Also, we removed subsection D and E information there and provided in a different area. We added subsection H, which ensures that the Beaufort County School District Student Code of Conduct Progressive Discipline Plan is outlined for students and parents for travel and that it is followed. We also added subsection I, which ensures that we are providing equal access to all students. We specify here students with 504 plans, students with individual education plans, students with individual health care plans, just to ensure that those students are provided that opportunity and are not denied based on those facts. We added subsection J to ensure that students will not be penalized for these learning experiences that they're having outside of the classroom for anything that they're missing within the classroom, that they're given ample time to make up any assignments. Subsection K specifies our Beaufort County School District ratios. Any extracurricular activity should have 2 Beaufort County School District employees on it. We also, if we look down, we also outlined how many chaperones we have to have. It's a 1-to-7 ratio in D. And if you'll flip over to subsection L, we added a requirement that a first aid kit needs to go when our students travel. When our students travel, so should a first aid kit. Subsection 5. This is where we added school-wide coordination of student travel. And of course, this begins with our principals within the school-wide planning process. And then that consideration, they take in the number of hours, days, whatever that just travel is encompassing, and the experience that the students are going to have. In section 6, Roman numeral 6, we added in the student travel that extends overnight does require that additional approval from the district level. So that would be Dr. Rodriguez or his representative. In subsection B, we added the fact that any student learning experiences, whether it's within or without a classroom, and this is without a classroom, should be aligned with the course standards, the state standards, and objectives within that progression of learning for our students.
Could you repeat that again?
Sure, that travel with outside of the classroom should still be on that same progression of standards that the state provides us. So if I'm taking the kids to a learning experience outside of my classroom, it should still be teaching them those standards that the state requires of us.
But how does that, how does that impacting a field trip of, or a trip of, in terms of rewards?
Should still have an academic merit.
Yeah.
So we're taking students to, let me use an example, we're taking students to an exhibition or a competition for music reading. That has an academic purpose,
Right,
okay, and there happens to be a park where a lot of that academic reading happens. Half the park is in South Carolina, another portion of the park happens to be in North Carolina.
This is correct.
And I do not sign off, so it's confirmed that it is academic competition first. Our students are obtaining a grading for their performance, let's say sports, for example. Then if it happens that they want to have additional recreation, that is allowed. But my private priority to allow this trip is academic performance, as we've allowed for extended learning opportunities for our students. That is outside of the realm of the general instructional day, where I have a little more latitude for permission to happen. But during the instructional day, we tie to instruction.
and I do get that, but I think my question is in regard to,
I'm gonna give you a little flexibility here, Mr. Smith. If we go back to Roman numeral 6, student travel approval, this is stuff that I approve. But the principal has a little more latitude than what I.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I need that
All
alone.
right, unless it's out of state,
Right, that's right.
unless it's out of state, that's why I would specifically
Yeah.
do this
Okay,
place that happened, South Carolina happened.
okay.
Okay.
My
I'm picking
apologies.
up. Yeah.
We appreciate it, we appreciate it, Mr. Smith.
That's right, I appreciate it.
Except that they're in the water.
Right.
Doesn't come to me.
And that makes sense, because that water is very something serious.
Yes, it
I
is.
Totally.
I do understand where you're going, so the latitude
Yes.
is still there for the administrators.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
So, if we'll look at subsection C, which is the next little section down, we added the statement that ensure that, students who are unable to participate are still provided activities that align with what is happening on that student trip. So whatever the students are learning on that time away from school, or students within school. Subsection D, we added a statement to ensure that the travel was appropriate for the age level and maturity level of the student.
That's awesome.
Subsection E, we added the statement prohibiting any student travel the first 10 days of the school year. That really is a time when they're building relationships. So, here. Subsection F, we added a statement for travel not to be scheduled at times that coincide with critical academic dates and times, such as state testing, those type of things. Subsection G added the statement outlining the scheduling of student travel, and how that should be considered. Again, that may fall into that exception category, that can be made, depending on if it's in a competition. Subsection H, just requires that you get approval for the trip before you start signing contracts and those kind of things to set it up. And then if we will flip over with me to Roman numeral 9, which is listed as teacher responsibilities, it added that statement requiring that the identification of health-related needs, medication needs, and any accommodation needs of our students are adhered to regardless of whether they're having a learning experience within our schools or outside of our schools. Those things are still adhered to. And Then over to subsection 13, sorry, people as well. We added a statement here that Beaufort County School District does not sponsor international student travel.
That's actually on recommendation by the principals,
They request.
Are you serious?
very much so.
And in subsection 14, from the numeral 14, we added parade guidelines. And this is really to ensure the safety of all of Beaufort County students and to ensure that we have adequate vision of all students. So that is the end.
Have we ever had that?
Not this
So
section here,
this is brand new.
brand new, sir.
And help me, parade supervision, like band, taking kids or kids actually attending?
So let's use that for an example, our students who attended Chicago, we
Yes.
had adequate supervision for our students for that. Their participation and they met all criteria, and this is, before this was in copy, they met all criteria. With regard to age appropriate students, have the amount of male and female chaperones that is necessary, what was your security plan for our students, our reunification plan, so any type of travel as to. A lot of the structure is ready, our principals are kind of used to it, and even for local, they have some type of guidelines because they're having incidents that occur to the point of fatality of the interview.
Okay.
So we want to be able to keep some guidelines, and this was very much pushed forward also by legal counsel. I have to give credit.
Yes.
Because we do not want to support the practice of something that may be overlooked in a child.
Right. This is putting our teeth in from a district level.
I would say yes. Yes.
Awesome, it's awesome. Thank you.
So that would conclude our ARs and instructional services. I'd like the opportunity to turn the floor over to Dr. Juliet White, who is our Officer for Student Services.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes, that is actually, for the first two ARs, it deals, specifically with, athletics and extracurricular activities. I'm actually going to turn it over to Carlos Cave, Dr. Cave, who is on the list to go over these two ARs. Dr. Cave?
Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Can you hear me? Okay, so the state legislators have in the 24-25 budget proviso added a component that directly impacts athletics. We currently have legislation that speaks to homeschool students and charter school students being able to participate in athletics at their zone school in which they would participate if they were in that public school. As it stands, the new bill, Part 1B, Section 1H630 of the budget proviso for 24-25 school year, and specifically Section 1.118 speaks now to independent schools or private schools having the same ability to participate back at their zone public school as charter school students now currently enjoy. With that being said, and because this is now the new state law and the new standard, this this administrative reg SS 31 and SS 36 that speaks specifically to extracurricular and also to student athletics, specifically the section that talks about charter school student athletes being able to participate. We need to include the word independent in those sections. that I think it is section in SS 31. I don't have it in front of me because I'm literally pulled over on the side of the road coming back from the meeting from the high school league. But SS 31, I think it is section
Seven and
seven,
eight.
seven, six, 7 and 8
Yes.
in section in SS 31, and then section in SS 36, there's one area that we need to address there to include simply adding independent to accompany the statement that addresses charter schools specifically. The verbiage is identical, other than adding independent now to accompany the same verbiage that speaks specifically to charter school students being able to participate in public schools here in Beaufort County.
So Dr. Cave, can you clarify what sports, because it's limited to what the participation is based on sports that they do not have at their schools, correct?
Yes.
So just clarify that.
Yes. So for example, and I'll just use, let's say, Beaufort Academy. Beaufort Academy, without looking up the sports that they offer, there's a very strong possibility that they don't currently offer lacrosse. In the case where they don't offer a sport, and I'm using lacrosse specifically, those students that attend Beaufort Academy and desire to participate in the sport of boys or girls lacrosse would have that ability to participate back at their zone public school in that sport. The only sports that the independent school students would have the ability to participate in Beaufort County are sports that are not offered at those independent schools. If that independent school offers no sports, then those students that attend that independent school would have the ability to participate in all sports not offered at their independent/private school, and only those sports.
Thank you. All right.
I
In
have a-
essence,
I have a question.
Carlton has a question.
Yes.
I'm sort of a little surprised that the term independent, because I think there are some legal challenges about state money going to quote unquote private schools. I think there's a lawsuit pending. And so the question for me becomes, is there, and I know this is not about the legality of it in this conversation today, but is there any sense that legislatively there are challenges to this?
So the challenge when it was initially put on the table, there is a private school league. You have the South Carolina High School League, which is all public schools, and there are some private schools that are members of the current South Carolina High School League athletic establishment. SCISA has been the governing body for most independent/private schools. What the legislators have in essence done with this rule is say that those students again, and they verbiage and the word use of independent is what is actually the word used in this proviso. Thus, we align our information and changes to reflect the verbiage that's in the budget proviso. That is why we're saying independent schools, but they are referencing independent/private schools. But to further dive deeper into it, they are only going to be allowed to participate in sports. They wanted those kids to have that option. It has been an ongoing discussion.
Correct.
With those students that choose to attend the private and independent schools, having that flexibility, if a sport wasn't offered there, that kid, that student athlete could still have that option of being able to participate.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is he done? Mr. Kim, my only question is, and my heart problem comes from is, do the money follow the kid? Do we get paid to serve these kids? I mean, there's no harm, but I mean, how does that work? What does that look like?
So the legislators and this proviso does not speak to any type funds following the students. And it doesn't speak to it currently because we currently allow homeschool students and charter school students to participate in athletics statewide. So in this case, the money does not follow all three groups: homeschool students, charter school students, and now independent school students or slash private schools. There is no funding that follows those students back to the public school to be able to participate. We have to, we do not have the ability based on this law and being a state funded institution to deny them based on how the verbiage is in this bill.
May I ask just a very, very brief follow-up question?
Go ahead.
What is the name or the number of this proviso?
Yeah, thank you.
It is Part 1B, Section 1, H630. And the specific section is 1.118.
Okay, thank you, Director K.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dr. K, if you also have section 15 clear bag policy that we've added to SS 31 to, if you want to just give a brief overview of that.
So the clear bag policy, that policy has been in place with the clear bag piece. It just speaks to a security measure that is a policy that has been put into play to ensure that we have a better ability to monitor those attending our athletic events. So it becomes, it aligns with best practices dealing with all safety measures.
Okay. All right, thank you. And then the only other change to SS 31, which I realize somehow the paragraph is missing, is the non-discrimination statement. So I'll make sure that she adds that to it. It's in the others. That is what we have for SS 31 and SS 36. And the final student, thank you, Dr. Cage, very much. And I'm glad that you
Thank you.
as you did your report.
Yes, yes.
Yes, all right, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we have SS 39, suspension, expulsion, and alternative program assignment of schools. And the change that was made to that was due to some legislative action that also came out. And that requirement really is requiring districts to provide written notification to include the right to legal counsel, the right to question all witnesses, contact information we have to provide for free legal representation, and the right to access the investigative file in its entirety within 3 days prior to the hearing. So we added that in section 13. Yes. And subsection A. And with the written notification, we've updated all of our notification letters to parents to include that they will have the right to the counsel, as I mentioned, and the right to question all witnesses, and also look at all the files, including not only documents, but also videos as well. And, okay, go ahead.
I was listening to this piece about, I know that they have a right to counsel. My question is, will the parent be asking the questions of a witness, or will their counsel?
So that would be the question of Wendy said, that we did have some conversation around that. The question is, with the right to question all witnesses, will that be the parents or the counsel of the parents?
The new law allows for the parents to ask questions.
Just speak up, sorry.
The law allows parents to ask questions. And additionally, our new correspondence with the families will inform them that if they are unable to pay for legal counsel, we give them a reference where the name and the address and the phone number of where they can contact to get that assistance if they need it. The other thing that's a change too, it's actually a very good thing. In our past practice, we have always provided a hearing packet to the family that has a list of all the documents that were involved,
Right.
the violation, whether the student has a 504 and IEP. And now the family has the right to access that, as well as if there is a video under FERPA. We don't give out videos because we would be violating FERPA, but the parents can come into the school and view the video with a member of the school staff. So this gives an opportunity for everybody to be very well prepared and to have access to all the information. Now, before this law went into effect, we always allowed the parents to come in and look at the video, but now it's officially in a law. Yeah, so.
Now, I have a question about that, because we have some parents who do not want their children to be on the videos or someone else looking at it. So if a child has on file, can't be videoed, parent says no. But now that child is involved in a video that the school or parents need, you know, as a witness to whatever happened.
Well, if the child is the perpetrator, then
Under this
That-
legislation, they would have to
Yeah.
have the right to view.
yeah,
We
they would,
never
you
get
can't,
under
yeah,
the
that's
leg-
right.
Under the
Under
legislation.
legislation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanna make sure we're covered.
No,
because,
we're,
Yeah, we're not, like you said, parents come in and say,
the other question to that is, other students in that film
right,
who may be observers,
right.
do they have the right to be redacted? That would be the question that I would.
And what we had done in another case that we had, we were able to do the video so that you were just looking at
At
that
this
particular, what was going on right there,
Right
not
there.
the whole
But
thing.
they're not seeing
Okay.
us as observers,
Okay,
because then you set those other students up.
yes, you do.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you do.
But to what degree? Do you have administrators been aware of this policy?
Go ahead,
So
Donna.
once we brought it here and you did the changes, then the next step that would be sharing this with administrators, and we have that mechanism set up
Yes.
before, prior to school starting. So
And we
review
also
those
talked about it
changes.
at boot camp.
Yeah.
We have the boot camp in the summer that Ms. Walton or team does. And that was brought up there, and we've also, we've redone the letters, our notice letters for, we'll be doing.
They do know that this is not a board policy.
It's a law.
Legislation.
I know, but I just wanted to make, wanted to be clear. Yeah, so, that they know that, like, that we're not, yeah. Cause boy, I'm sure they don't want a bonus one. They're not gonna be, everyone's not gonna be happy with this.
Well, see, I would think the perpetrators, because I've been at the schools when you have 8 boys, 11 boys fighting, and then you've got, 100 kids watching, filming, jumping in. That if they know that now that can legally be used where their parents can come in and see it,
Right.
Maybe
You scared?
deterrent.
it might be a deterrent for some of them, I'm hoping. But I do have a pause for the kids who are watching, and that You know, hey, I know Wendy and Julie saw it, you know, so I'm gonna go to their house and talk to their mamas and stuff. That's just because we're dealing with children. And I don't think the state legislatures understand that a lot of the emotions that children have are not the same as adults. And they do things in the heat of the moment, and what they're mad about today, they're not mad about 10 days from now. I just don't want to see children who were caught up in it get in, and that's, to me, that's what this is gonna do.
Do you know, can someone tell me what's the number of this regulation right here? What's this?
It's actually
Oh,
cited.
yeah, I'm sorry, okay,
It should be
thanks.
cited, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, under, it's right
So-
there at the end.
So, also, another thing, who got to pay that law bill? Who's paying for the mama to get an attorney? What money
Given
coming
the
from?
advice.
No, that what it says is what it says now, in the event that you would like to have an attorney and you cannot hire an attorney, our notice letters will provide the contact information for a legal aid service provider with a name, address, and phone number so that they can have an attorney to represent, you know, have a counsel to represent them if they want to do that.
Yeah, but I just want to just make sure that they're not, the state's not gonna, because you know, they're good at tacking on the bill to us and letting us pay for it, so they come up with a lot of laws that we don't have to pay for. I'm just.
No, you're right. But this is for somebody to provide legal aid, so we have that.
Thank you, Councilman.
Another change to this AR is in subsection B, where we added the addition of a 10-day requirement for the appeal and then 10-day period for rendering the decision. And then so makes sense. So the next 10-day appeal.
There's business or calendar.
10 days.
So it's 10 days.
Calendar.
Yes.
So that includes Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
That's.
Mhm.
They count.
So it's a total of 20 days? It's a total of 20 days?
So 20 days, the parent has 20 days to appeal the decision within 10 days, within 10 days. And then once they appeal the decision, then the superintendent or his designee has 10 days to render the decision, to make the decision.
That's not what it is standardly right now.
It wasn't clear in the,
I think we had a lower amount. of
We had a
time.
lower amount.
Yeah, so we need to make sure there's enough time for everybody. I mean, the parent is notified right away when the hearing officers make the decision. They usually, after the discipline hearings are over with, they stay there and write their orders and all, and then they're sent out right away. And they always in the hearing say, what is your address? How can we get in touch with you? So
So the next question, is there any state, is there any state, direction on this right here? Is there any state direction on this in terms of term?
we followed what they put in, you know.
Also, the state is saying 10 days, not us.
I think that was in the law. I think we got that from the new statute. I'll double check to make sure.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to know that.
This is better for everybody to have enough time to consider what they want to do. I think before we had this, I think we said 5 days. It was 5, yeah, 5. So we increased it. So because you need to think it through.
because you got it on Friday, on Monday, and somebody it's on 3 days, and you just got that work.
Right.
We want to make sure we have enough time.
Okay.
Yeah, good decisions too.
Yeah, the references on there.
Yeah.
The references, you already have them on there, yeah.
That's right.
Alright, so, if there are no other questions, that concludes my, part of the ARs.
Also, let me go back to expulsion. Can you tell me what that process looks like? And who, once someone is expelled, what that process looks like?
Once they're expelled,
Yes, ma'am.
once a student is expelled, they're no longer a student of Beaufort County School District, or however long length of time that expulsion is. With the exception of a student with an IEP, according to the law, we still have to continue to provide services. They will be marked and coded as expelled with services, and typically we would send someone to do that virtually or a very mutual site depending on the effects they're having up there, and that is the law. once they need to enter, whether it's at the end for the remainder of the school year or 365 days, then that's right, that's where we have that new
Entry, re-entry.
that's is it 40? That we went over to all that, so that's usually what's in the stuff.
But Mr. Smith, if they bring in a weapon, that's the statute, that's the 365 days. If you bring in.
Right,
bring in a
right.
weapon. But other ones, they'll say, you're expelled for the remainder of the school year.
right. So,
It's not a whole year.
so there's a law that states that if a student bringing a weapon, that they must get 360.
That's the statute, I guess.
Okay, great. Also, when students get expelled, because I remember Mr. Scrivener and, I want to say someone else, we were talking about that being when we had it here before. What's the process? How are board members informed of students who get expelled?
They notified if there's a hearing.
Yeah.
That's the only way, if they appeal it, that's the only way the board
But
members.
that hardly ever, expulsion is a very rare occurrence because the administration wants the students, whenever possible, to be in the alternative programs, they continue to receive their education.
Right,
So that'd be a very egregious offense for our students expelled. We want them to remain.
right. And I do understand that. But I just remember, well, I didn't just remember, but I do remember one time before when we were going over this, we talked about a way that board members or wherever we were done in the report, something about us knowing how many students get expelled or when students get expelled, because some of us that was important just to know how many students we expel across the district or year or when students get expelled, because that is something that
There's 2 ways with that, so my student only gets operational expectation that is tied to discipline. And I don't believe there has been many expulsions of the fine that I do report past year. And if you're gonna have discussion of the student, I think my recommendations that we would then have an executive session.
Yes.
Right,
We don't want that
for me, is it 16?
So I do believe 13 and 14.
Yeah.
is one of those.
Because you give an annual report.
And you keep track of all that, you keep track of all that suspensions and all that.
That's a real time.
That's in the report that you get once a year.
Yeah.
Email to.
Yeah.
So I too crazy. I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that
You've heard the language.
yeah, I've heard, I know I have. So yeah. Okay. So OE 13 and 4. Okay, thank you.
It's 1 and a 2.
I want to.
Yeah, like-
Learn environment.
Yes. Yeah.
13 and that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, ma'am.
We go at the same time. So I You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Anybody get their hand up, Bob? Because I can't see. I can-
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
So, Madam Chair, we will bring you back over. It should be the purview of the committee. We will bring these to give notice to the board at our next board meeting.
Okay, and that next board meeting is when? Our next board meeting is August sixth. So those just go, yeah, we're not.
Yes, they just go and then I present it just to go into, if there's any questions, to be within your academic committee.
Section,
Yes, ma'am, just to give it a summary.
so you will not have to give them.
No, right. And you can use the executive summary.
Well, we put all of the information in,
In
we
it,
put all
yeah.
in it, so
But
if
it's
there's
not-
any questions, the executive summaries will be a part of it. Okay.
Right. It's probably maybe just be possible for them to on athletics, maybe just like 2 notes, so make it easier to the board. If you want to have the Dr. K give something on the updates.
That's up to you.
Yeah, that would be, Madam Chair, so on the 2 administrative regulations for athletics. Okay, for the independent schools, just make note of that because we didn't have an executive summary for those 2 items, but you'll just want to mention that at your narrative.
All right.
Thank you.
Dr. K, did you hear that? Is he still there?
Yeah, he is, yeah,
Okay.
Dr. K is there.
Is he gonna let him?
Okay.
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
He said yes.
Yes, I
At the next board meeting, we'd like for you to give
Just a one-liner.
A one-liner about.
Give- So Dr. Cave, if you can provide Ms. Robin with just a quick summary on the two administrative regulations so that the board members would have additional executive summaries. We try to keep it very easy for them to just know what that update is. If you could just get that to Ms. Robin. And it'd be
Okay,
part
no
of.
problem.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
All
Madam
right.
Chair.
You want, are there any more questions, comments?
Madam Chair, I have a comment if I may. At the
Go-
appropriate time.
Go ahead, Mr. Dallas.
I'd like to compliment the ISD group on the way the information was presented. It had an executive summary. It then had what the finished product looked, and then it had the red line. So it was very easy for me to make my notes and go through and see what was captured in each of the Roman numerals and the subsections. So just want to say thank you to that. The other comment I would make is looking back over how the Sendai process enable legislation to be approved in one house of the legislature and then become law within a certain number of days. I think maybe there's a way to be forward looking so that our legislative advocates can sort of prep us that those type things are coming. It surprised many people, so just want to share that for consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have one comment. How was our summer school? Did we talk about summer school?
We did have a summary that was presented by Ms. McKenzie, and we actually have our other summer school expert and both experts here with us for our programs that I will share. We had our purview on the Hilton Head that did our project-based learning. And
It's not on the agenda.
Yeah, it's not on the agenda. I do apologize.
Because I just happened to look and see that we said in June that we would talk about.
Well,
We put it on the next agenda.
it was on
It
the
was
agenda.
on the agenda, on the board on the full board's agenda at the
Yes.
last meeting.
We didn't talk about it, did we?
At the last board meeting, it was, and they
It
gave an
was, I
update.
was just giving a
Yes,
summary
all
of
right,
that meeting.
yes,
yeah.
all right.
But-
So we'll make sure. Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Hands up.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes, some of the things that Dallas mentioned, I think we can address that when we go to the law conference this next month.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Did you hear that, Mr. Dallas?
Yes, ma'am. And when it's appropriate, I have a 30-second comment I'd like to share.
Oh, it's not appropriate, but go ahead.
We had the fortune to present to two groups over the last 24 hours, a 22-person community leaders group in the Bluffton area, and this morning to a large Rotary also in Bluffton. There's a lot of interest in what the school district is doing, positive interest. The Rotary Club has asked us to come back and make a major presentation in January. And so just want to give a heads up to the ISD and other entities within the Beaufort County School District to thank them for all the materials that they provide, and that we'll be sharing with them specific requests from these two groups, one of which is apprenticeships, so that you can help enable us and have your people participate as well. Make sure that message gets out there about all the great things that are happening in the BCSD. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dallas.
We appreciate the heads up.
I was just going to just say I'm not going to take time to so I'll just say that I did over Mr. Dallas's comments at the beginning before the last comment. I definitely do appreciate that as he giving us this information, and this has kind of been a little different spin, and I definitely just appreciate the work that y'all continue to do day in day out. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. We have a great team in collaboration with our divisions as well, sir, so thank you.
Before we go to future topics, I also would like to congratulate this team. Awesome presentation, and visually I can only see out of one eye. So I'm very happy the way that you presented information, so I can at least read it and hear what you're saying. So great job always. Appreciate you. So future topics. Anybody?
OE 12, so we may bring it forward at the end of August.
You say AR 12?
OE
OE
12, yes, ma'am.
instructional?
Yes, ma'am, instructional programs.
All right. Anyone else has,
Yeah,
any future topics?
in terms of in terms of let me figure out that was gonna ask this. Figure out how to formulate my question.
Okay.
Yes, that's what I'm.
All right.
Well, excuse me. If no one else has a question or discussion?
Our next meeting, can we set our next meeting?
No,
We're gonna set it, haven't set it.
It would be 1, 2, 3. It would be scheduled for August the 28th.
If that would accommodate our division if possible, subject to OE 12 is 17 parts.
Oh,
And it's rather large.
So do you want the 28th or?
Please.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that would be the next scheduled meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, August 28th.
17.
You guys want the same time, 5 o'clock?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get your thoughts?
Dr. White, I believe may be requesting presentation of a few administrative regulations at that time as well. Am I correct,
Yes,
Eric?
yes.
So there will be, what, 2? Doc?
We're not sure.
We're not sure yet. Working on it.
I just have ARs and.
Yes, ma'am. Got it. Yes, ma'am.
Got it.
Yeah, I chunk it. It's a Marzano strategy. Ready, we have 41. Thank you.
I was gonna give her, I was gonna give her.
Yes,
but,
Are you guys adjourned?
Not yet.
Not yet.
All right, I was just making sure that Mr. Smith, will give his, notes to Ms. Smith. All right, if there's no more,
In terms of.
discussion or comments,
The court that we
Mr. Will, can we adjourn?
Yeah, that's Madam Chair.
Ms. Milton, Ms. Milton? Okay, so unanimous.
I'm still with you.
Okay, thank you, guys, thanks everybody for being online, thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Great job.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Good night. Good night.
For content committees, thank you.